it becomes inevitably important that you get to embrace your fullness and that you realize more and more of this unwavering connection. It is never not here. The moment that you land your mind in your heart, which is opening to this, it is allowed in to flood and flow in your life. Welcome back to the Art of Awakening podcast, where the art of living awake becomes a daily practice. I'm your host, Dr. Sue Morter, and today we are exploring awakening to the divine within. I have to tell you why I want to discuss this topic. I had taught a group of people some coursework over a long, extended period of time, and at the end of that program, I started speaking about the fact that they were divine beings. And we had spent a lot of time cultivating all of that. And I just then started really using the word divine, and everybody contracted. They were like, whoa, wait a second. I'm not divine. I'm only human. I'm not that. I'm this. And it dawned on me that we have a real challenge accepting our magnificence. We have a challenge embracing the depths of who we really are. And so, let's just explore. Let's lean into this conversation a little bit. What if the connection to the divine isn't something that we have to search for, but what if it's already present within us? And what if there's a bridge of those realities, that there's actually only one reality, and it is heaven earth. So if heaven earth exists, then divine human exists, right? Because the two are just kind of merging. And so let's just lean in and explore a little bit about this. No matter what your beliefs have been and what you have been told about heaven or source or the divine or God or what have you, what if there was just, not such a separation to begin with? The divine only creates divine. In my mind, why would it create something less than itself? And so you are the byproduct of that. And so it's just doing the math, right? It's just like, oh my gosh, it's just a mind bender. So in this episode, we're going to talk about how to recognize and connect with the divine energy that flows through you, and the relationship between science and spirituality, and how those two work together to reveal deeper truths, that if we're only looking at one or the other, something's missing. And that's why we feel like something's missing, and we turn that inward and decide there's something missing within us, and that we're broken and there's something wrong and it needs to be healed. And, where it goes from there is just nasty. We start creating illness, and we start, sabotaging ourselves and our relationships and our success in the world and our businesses, on and on and on. So let's just take a breath and maybe just take another look, all right? We're going to talk about practical tools to help you align with your highest self and live greater peace and purpose inside this thing called life, because it's supposed to be working for you, not against you. It's not here to punish you. Life is here as an empty canvas for you to create and celebrate whatever degree of abundance you will. And if you want true abundance, you're going to have to embrace a little bit more of your magnificence, because full-on abundance includes heaven and earth. Full-on abundance includes all of the all. It's it. So, let's rattle the brain a little bit and allow the heart to kind of infuse into it just a little bit more than sometimes it gets to. So what does it mean to be connected to the divine? Okay, and that's even an easier step than I'm going to press you into in the midst of this conversation, because you're more than connected to the divine. You are the divine. Try it with me. I am a divine being. I am a divine being. Just see if you can even, okay? Because I know it's big. So the divine isn't something outside of you. It's only divine because we don't visit it. So we consider it sacred. We consider it holy because it's more whole than we're operating. But it isn't more whole than we are. It's not. And so if I can embrace more of my wholeness, I could possibly begin to embrace some of my divinity, some more of my divinity. It isn't something outside of you, that it's something that you have access to within yourself. It's not just out there, it's also in here. So when I talk about divinity or God or source, and I say it's not out there, it's in here, I don't mean to scare you and have you think that I'm saying there's nothing out there. It's all you. It's up to you, because that's pretty scary. So the idea that we have referenced this divine presence that's holding us is very comforting. And I contend with that as a way for everyone to feel comforted in the world. And I also know that it's a continuum from that to this, and there's no separation. And we've never really animated or engaged with or allowed that bridge to be a direct connection all the way here. So it's not only out there, it's also all the way in here. So maybe if you think about it that way, it's a little bit easier to realize. You are the miracle. You have come forth from the heavens, or the unified field of consciousness, depending on if we're speaking about the unified field in quantum science, or the unified field of consciousness in the study of consciousness, or heaven in traditional religious speak. It's all the same thing if we let it be. And so when we allow for that connection to exist, we realize that we have come forth from that field here into this physical dimension through a series of compressions, and compressions, animating this life force and this beautiful miracle that happens when we arrive into this realm in the animated form of exactly that miracle. So this connection is about remembering who we truly are and living from that place of authenticity and love, and the fact that we're made of the miracle. If you're made of the miracle and you are here waking to that, then it becomes inevitably important that you get to embrace your fullness, and that you realize more and more of this unwavering connection. It is never not here. The moment that you land your mind in your heart, which is opening to this, it is allowed in to flood and flow in your life. And so when we feel connected to the divine, we experience a sense of wholeness and belonging, as we should, because it's who we are. There's no part of you that is not that. There are parts of you that have established as a separate false self, the protective personality, the performing personality, the ego self. But as we embrace that and love into those versions of us that established the need to protect or the need to guard, and we melt them in love, we start to embrace all of that false self. And so all that's left is the divine, loving, compassionate self. And that one is a direct resonance with what we would reference as divine. And that's what's waking up in us. That's what is waking. When we awaken, we are awakening the subconscious and bringing it up to a conscious level. We are awakening the parts of us that feel less and that we've suppressed down and that we've marginalized and denied. And we're starting to let those parts of us come up and explore them and express them. And that's what waking up is, when the subconscious becomes conscious. And what's arriving is the rest of you. And what's arriving as the rest of you puts you in touch with more of the full keyboard, more of the full continuum, more of the bridge between human and the divine. So they start to commingle more. We start to feel a greater level of acceptance. We start to feel okay and grounded and clear. And as such, we act like it. And when we act a little more grounded and clear, we're more patient and tolerant. In fact, it doesn't even feel like tolerance. It feels like curiosity and a precious allowance. And we're allowing for life to unfold in more beautiful ways, because it's always unfolding in beautiful ways. In the hardships, we grow. In the stresses, we experience friction, we polish ourselves, we refine, we find new ways to dance in the world, and we embrace more of who we are. We come to know who we are with all of it. So all of it's a blessing. It shifts how we approach our daily lives. It helps us live with more clarity and purpose and peace. And what is so beautiful about what is happening inside of consciousness is that science and spirituality are getting closer and closer together. Quantum science has built such a beautiful bridge for us to allow for science and spirituality to commingle more. They're not separate. They're two ways of understanding the same truth. And with quantum science, we're able to actually prove what faith and spirituality have been speaking for the millennia. And so we're standing at a beautiful jumping point of freedom to jump into the unified field and to recognize the oneness that is reflected there, and the representation of who we are in that oneness, that we are all connected and that we are bound together by the most refined energies that exist. We're all built of the same stuff. And so we have the opportunity to share and to be in communion with one another. But first, we have to get into communion with the truth of us, the foundation of us. When we're aware of the bigness of our being, it's easier. It's easier to reach across the aisle in politics. It's easier to hear a different belief system even inside of our families that have been torn apart in recent years. It's easier for us to change our own beliefs, to open up to more and to embrace more and to allow. And so why it all matters is that understanding the science behind spiritual principles helps us to approach them with an open mind. When the left brain is satisfied, then the right brain and the left brain can work together. And when they work together in a unified way, we become more loving people. We become more divine. We become more compassionate. We become more aware of the limitations that we put on life and people and expectations. We become aware of the prejudice and the judgments that we cast so easily. Those prejudices and judgments are yours to dissolve in this lifetime. You are the one that can do that. It's not about you waiting for some divine thing to happen once you leave this planet where you get to be reunified. Our job in terms of evolving ourselves consciously is to take it on, is to collaborate with the divine and to allow for those false pretenses that we have been locked into to dissolve, to allow them to dissolve because we say so. With an open mind and an open heart, anything is possible. And that is certainly one of the things that you will see softening in your life. It's not about a belief. It's about an experience of yourself in a much greater and vast way. You start to see yourself beyond belief. You start to see yourself connecting and loving. Where love becomes more important than beliefs is where the miracle happens in life. When love becomes more important, when I'd rather actually be kind than to judge you or to be separate from you because of what you think is true, I'd rather love you and allow you to think what you think is true to be true for you. And if you would do the same with me, we can meet in a manner that is second to none. And so in doing so, you're aligning with your highest self. And that's the one that came here. That's the one that wants to be living. But the personality self took over in terms of landing and splatting and protecting us and so forth. And what we're doing is awakening up and out of that. We're shifting from living in reality or rather than in living in reactivity. We're shifting from living in reactivity to living in alignment with this true self that we are. It allows us to live from a place of joy and peace and connection. It allows us to love in moments that we wouldn't have before. So think of your energy as a vibrational signature that reflects your alignment with the soulful self. When you align with this vibration, you experience greater peace and clarity and flow automatically. And so there's a signature in you that you just have to drop into and honor every day, never not. Every single day, that has to matter more. That's what devotion is. It's devotion to being a particular vibration, regardless of what's happening in your outer world, regardless of who walks into the room and the edge that they carry, regardless of the argument that happened last week or yesterday or this morning, regardless of the thing that is happening at work that has you really concerned, regardless. You must be so devoted to a vibrational frequency within yourself that you're not controlled by your external environment, that you are here as what you are here as, and you're here to bring it and to leave the place better because you were here, not by changing other people, but by celebrating what you know to be true. And it will become contagious, and you will attract others into your life that feel and engage and interact in this same way. It can't not, because the resonance and the coherence of what I'm talking about is bigger than any other. So it ultimately will blanket over everything and have an impact in your life, in your relationships, most importantly, in your ability to awaken your own divinity within. The highest of you gets to come up and out. That's why you came. You came to experience that, not to just survive and not to just get by, not to find a little crumb of peace or joy in the leftovers of what happens after the end of the day. So practices like breathwork and meditation and visualization, of course, help you connect with this deeper part of yourself. And we teach all of those, of course, inside of Morter Institute. But right now, just imagine this. Just imagine a flowing stream of energy that comes from the divine all the way into you, connecting you with that. It is a loving presence as it approaches your field and your body. And imagine that pouring right through you and into your life. Imagine it coming in and having an effect on your own brain, so that the brain in its primitive state underneath this trap door that is reactive and protective and guarded gets softened as it pours in. If you have like 3 minutes any time during the day, just stop and close your eyes and let it pour in and let it fill your brain and let it drop and seep underneath the trapdoor into the primitive brain. Allow the right brain and the left brain and this whole midbrain and the primitive brain to just be soaked and saturated in this lighted, loving presence. This liquid love that's pouring into you. It accesses the high brain centers, healing and enlivening them and allowing higher states of consciousness to be at work in your life. And then let it pour down into your throat and into your heart. And breathe in your belly and just let this liquid lighted love pour down into the solar plexus, into your belly, and exhale as it pours down into the whole pelvic floor. Just let your body be a vessel to receive and perceive this, to gather it. Because what it turns on is the divine self. The divine self has been suppressed. It's been marginalized. It's been tucked away so that it only shows up as this tiny voice every once in a while. And it's in there like, let it out of here. Let it out. It's it. So when you let this light and love pour in, it starts to nurture and nourish and sustain and build and magnify this divine, innocent, pure self. This one that is vulnerable and transparent and loving and kind and intimate. And it is rare, but it should be every day. It is rare and it is sacred and it is divine. And that version of you just wants to come up and out. So you let it, because it's really you. It's the real you. And the more you let it, the more that whole protective you, that whole debating you, and that whole divisive you just softens. It's like, I just can't resist it. Just like you can't resist the smile on a newborn. You can't resist the light in their eyes. You can't resist the love of a new puppy. It's just so innocent and so pure. You gotta melt. It's that, and clearly so much more. So it's there for the having, and it's yours. It's you. It's that close. It's you. So we're awakening this, and that's the point. We're awakening the true self, and we're learning to live it out loud. And as we do, It comes with grace, and it comes with the power of the cosmos supporting you completely, constantly, never not. So thank you for joining me today in this beautiful conversation about the beautiful you that we want to come up and out and to have a life in this world. The Art of Awakening podcast is here for that. It's blending science and spirituality to empower you to create a life that you truly love. Remember that the connection to the divine is not something to search for. It's something to remember. It's something that you are. It's something to access within yourself constantly. It's not just out there. It's in here too. And if you'll let that one birth and breathe, you'll notice your life changing. So many beautiful ways. By bridging science and spirituality and using simple practices, you can align with the soulful self and live a life of divine love. So please subscribe and share this episode with someone that you think might need just a little more encouragement about the goodness and the bigness of being deeply within, because it's here, designed to come up and out and to flourish in this one precious life that we are living at this time. And so, until next time, I'm Dr. Sue Morter, here with the Art of Awakening podcast for you. Blessings to you. Blessings, blessings for a beautiful day. And bye-bye for now. We'll see you soon.